Welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we're going to be once again talking about roster development as well as relic levels. We recently made a video talking about all the most efficient relic 7s that are in the game, and I got quite a few comments about wanting to make one for relic 8. And the very awkward thing about that is, if you look at my roster, I actually don't have a lot of relic 8s at all. It's a very scarce material. Most of it ends up going to my Galactic Legends or to Galactic Legends requirements like Gas, Piet, Padme, or what have you. So, that being said, today is going to be some more of a wish list about R8s that I wish I had and why. So first up, we're actually going to see a few repeats from the last video, and the first one is going to be Vader. Darth Vader does a lot of really great things. We explained that in the last time. His damage going constantly up with his relic amplifier. We can see that in here. All of this crit chance is useful, as well as the added damage. Accuracy, I guess, is fun too. But the other thing that's a real big kicker for him is actually the TIE Advanced. It is just apparently at the same speed or one speed faster than the Negotiator. So if you keep running into opponents who have R9 Negotiators, and maybe you don't, R8 on Vader is how he gets ahead. He applies target lock, and how he allows really Empire to keep beating even really maxed out Galactic Republic teams. So that's kind of what we have Vader on here. He's got a good amount of damage, and you'll see a pretty reoccurring theme in almost all these characters is the fact that they are damage dealers. Relic 8 is really where that shines. Relic 9 tends to focus on tanks. So next up is another Skywalker as well, and this is one that actually didn't make the last list, just because if you have Giant Luke, you probably already have him R7, so it doesn't really make sense to make an efficiency thing about him. But that being said, this is a character that can do a lot with really high relic levels. Another common theme that we're going to see in these characters in the videos today are characters that are challenging Galactic Legends. And typically, when you have a team that is going to challenge a Galactic Legend, the example here would be Jedi Revan and Jedi Luke versus SLKR. Your attackers typically are most important because they are the ones that actually have to get the kill shot. And Galactic Legends are really hard to kill because they all have a very specific buff when you look into them, with your unique that reduces all their damage. So SLKR, JML, doesn't matter. They all have this Galactic Legend buff that gives them 10% extra max health and protection per relic level, as well as all damage is decreased by 30%. So the attackers end up becoming really important. That's exactly what Giant Luke does. Not only does his basic and his special do quite a bit of damage, but his repulse ability against Galactic Legend actually deals damage 3 times to the enemy Galactic Legend, so every little bit of damage you can get here helps. I love pumping him up with a lot of offense. Again, ours is Relic 7. I would like for him to be Relic 8, but you know, we don't have resources. And then stacking that with crit damage on his mods lets the dude hit really stinking hard. So yeah, both Vader is here, also partially for ship. General Luke is here for his abilities, but also because he's the one who has to get the kill shot on SLKR. Next up is going to be Dark. I really love Dark. He can do a lot of fun things. Similar to Giant Luke, he's going to be the one that is going to help you kill a Galactic Legend. This one is actually the other side of SLKR, where Giant Luke is going to be beating your traditional SLKR teams with First Order. Dark Trooper is actually going to be the one that kills the Night Sister variant. And this is really important here, too, with his punching ability, or if you're maybe taking out a Lord Vader that has a bunch of crappy sides and you're using a Shock T strategy or something like that. If you're going to take him in, typically how Dark Trooper works in almost all fights is you have Piet on the side to give you Emperor's Trap to just give you a ridiculous amount of stacking offense, to the point where Dark, with this quadruple hit here on his basic, is just knocking stuff out of the park. The issue is when you go up against a Galactic Legend like Lord Vader or Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, they have a bunch of speed, and they have a tendency to catch up if you're not getting any kills. So what you end up having to do is you have to pump a bunch of relic levels into Dark, to the point where he is dealing an enormous amount of damage even without a tremendous amount of Emperor stacks or Emperor's Trap on his character. So again, Dark still has a lot of viability. Again, we have him Relic 5 outside of Relic 8, but it's a character that I look and be like, you know, that would actually make a difference. If I had that wouldn't just be for fun. It wouldn't be because he deserves it. It would be because it would actually make a tangible difference in some of our counters. Next up is going to be Maul, another repeat from the last one. Again, similar idea to both Dark and Giant Luke. They are the attacker in their team that is countering a Galactic Legend. Maul, in a very similar sense, is also the character in his team that is countering a Galactic Legend. Typically taken against C. There's some other people who can do some other things against other Galactic Legends, but he's the one who's going to be pumping out most of the damage. It actually allows you a lot of flexibility when they start putting in harder teams. You can actually start to use his, I believe it's called Seething Rage. Yeah, Seething Rage on another character, like a tank, to put buff immunity on them first, and then you don't need all 5 hits to go into C, because you can already get buff immunity on the sides, and then you can just go all in on C, because again, we talked about this in the Relic 7 video, but when you're going in with Maul against C, you're not only taking damage, or you're not only getting damage from your offense, but you're also taking damage from how his Bound by Hatred works, where he takes a portion of his health and he turns it into offense and hits even harder, which is where all this comes from. So if you put the Relic 8 on him, not only are you getting a boost in your damage right up, but you're also getting a boost in health that is being transferred into offense as well. So that is why Maul is on here. Next up, we have, I believe, another new character here. Yeah, this is actually a really fun one. Sith Trooper, and Sith Trooper is really stinking powerful. He is currently being used in a 3v3 counter to kill Starkiller, and I've actually had a lot of bad experiences with this counter, and I know a bunch of people who have a lot of bad experiences with this counter, and the reason why is because it only works if your Sith Trooper has enough raw offense right in the beginning at Relic 8 to do enough damage to Starkiller to pretty much kill him, either on the opening volley or when they go to use an AoE and you counter again and kill them. This is very hard to do at Relic 5. I believe it's even hard to do at Relic 7. The damage just isn't there. Starkiller survives, and then he blows up your entire team. And also, Sith Trooper is just a really good attacker in general. It's something that you'll probably get a little bit of use everywhere. That is really going to be the main one. It's very, very hard to be able to kill Starkiller without high relics here. And even then, on the higher health Starkiller ones, it's a little bit harder in general. But it's, again, not super necessary. I don't have it, but it's something that I would certainly like to have, given I have the option to. Next up is going to be Fennec. We've talked about her a lot. Fennec has really been probably one of the most important characters in the game for the past month with the current datacrons, but even without the datacrons, she is the attacker that's going to be taking down Lord Vader. She has a better shot than anyone else, and her offense really matters. And this is really not really here nor there, because datacrons, they don't last forever. One of the cool things about her having her high relics as well is that she gets a lot of accuracy. She'll get a lot of special accuracy, up to 18%, so I guess she gets another 4.5% here. That's going to help against these dodge crons that are currently on all the Lord Vaders, if that is something you're running into. And there's just been so many times where I've gone to kill a side with Fennec against the Lord Vader team, and they just barely survive, and they're back to full health the next turn. I'm like, gosh darn it, like if she just had a little bit more offense to be able to take them out, that would have just been superb. So again, we're looking at characters in their teams that are the ones that are actually going and taking out the Galactic Legend. Next up is actually Grievous. Grievous didn't make our R7 video last time. I think that in general, his relic levels, oh look, that's pretty menacing. His relic levels are really not super important once you get to Relic 3, but again, this is another character that has a shot at beating some Galactic Legends. I currently use him as my Starkiller counter, but there are some people out there who use him for JML or C, depending on the enemy comp. And in a very similar way to the rest, he's not only gaining a lot of health, which he's then going to turn to damage, but he's also gaining crit damage as well as crit chance, which are really the 3 most important stats for him to be able to take down those characters. And again, he's the one that's going to have to get the kill shot. He's the one who's going to have to skitter over to the JML or whatever and actually get them down and make sure they die. I guess there's an argument here for survivability as well. Although typically, not always, we've actually won a match like this. Typically, when it's just your Grievous left, there's not a lot you can do, even if you have a stupid amount of health to be able to survive everything else. But that is going to cover Grievous for the most part. Again, he is the attacker that's going to be taking down the enemy Galactic Legend. And we're going to also be looking at Cam. Cam, I go a little back and forth on him just because the 2 main uses for Cam right now are under Qui-Gon Jinn. And under Qui-Gon Jinn, his relic level almost doesn't matter. If you're already getting, he's going to get 60 speed between his unique and Qui-Gon Jinn's lead, and you're probably going to have him easily over 300 speed. 300 times 30, that's a ridiculous amount of offense that he's getting from that. And to throw another relic on there, sure, that it's going to increase his damage, it's going to be fine, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. Where it really is going to make a difference, and this is important, is if you use them under Jedi Master Luke. And when you constantly call him to assist under Jedi Master Luke, the first hit is reduced by, I think, 95% damage or whatever Jedi Master Luke's leadership ability is. But the second hit, I don't know if this is working as intended, but this is how it's been ever since he's existed. When he gets called in to assist, yeah, it's supposed to do 90% less damage. The second attack doesn't. The second attack deals 100% damage for Cam, so you're actually looking at taking up a decent amount of damage. And the Cam's just a great damage dealer in general. If you're going in and using his big hit where he puts armor shred, it's also nice for that to do more damage. He can actually really use the crit chance as well. I've tried him on him for as much crit chance as possible, but even then, without sacrificing offense or speed, I can only get to like 80%. And this is something that you're going to be able to get through his relic level. Not 20%, but it's something that's going to be able to help him to make sure he's always hitting as hard as he can. So there is Cam. Also going to be up here is Malgus. And I guess we're going to add in another character because it looks like I left them out. And they're kind of in a very similar position to each other, but it's both Malgus and Starkiller. These are very new characters. Not a lot of people have them. And again, these are the ones that are going to be challenging Galactic Legends. And Malgus, I actually, even though he's a tank, he's not primarily here because he's going to be the one, you know, to tank all the hits so that everyone goes. And that actually is something he can do. We underestimated Malgus in the very beginning, and it's just that, oh, his taunt sucks. He only gets it through one ability. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Everyone else is going to be able to, you know, dispel it in 1 turn. He's not going to be able to get it back for another 3 turns. But once you start to add in all the speed that Malgus has, that just doesn't end up being true. Like, he has a pretty low base, like 295, but he gets so much from his leadership. He ends up getting, I think, about 130 from this alone, and then he gets like 20 from Talon. And then another thing that a lot of people don't consider is he's also giving the enemy team 20% negative speed when they have doubt on them. So he ends up catching up. Basically what I'm getting at, he's able to cycle through and use this so many times that his taunt actually does become consistent. And beyond that, the extra health from the Relic 8 is not only going to make it more survivable, but it's also going to let this attack here deal more damage. So again, it's one I don't have, but I would certainly like to. That would make a lot of counters against him harder, and would also make him probably a little more solidified on offense against Galactic Legend. I know like nobody's using that right now just because he's so good on defense. Once the Datacron's done, maybe that'll be something that people start doing as a budget counter. So next up is going to be Starkiller as well. We kind of see a similar theme to that of Maul, where when you're going and taking up his relic level, you are getting, you know, a raw offensive boost. He's going to get damage. He's going to get crit chance. He's going to get crit damage. There is a lot going in there, but also one of the things that happens is his health increases, and not as much as Maul, but let's see, which one of these is it on? I don't even know if it's in his kit actually, but at a certain point, yeah, he'll get the ability Size Means Nothing, which where he's going to deal an attack that's 80% of his max health. So again, you're going to get the raw offense from the Relic 8 so that his basic and his specials, they do a lot more damage, and that's great. That's really where the bulk of this is. But at the end of the day, the 80% max health that he's taking and turning into damage is also very helpful and is going to, again, get you a better bang for your buck. So that is going to make up the majority of the video. These are the 10. Again, I don't have any of these Relic 8, so I don't think these should be rushed for. Like, they're have-to-haves if you have a roster or if you're doing something. But there are definitely ones that are worth looking into, and if you have more access to Relic 8s than I do, then maybe you probably would have a lot of these or should consider putting them on. And if not, maybe it's just a fun thing to dream about, which is currently what I'm doing. But that is going to make up the video for today. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you all. As always, stay awesome.